today I'm going to show you how to make homemade cannolis. We're going to start with making the cannoli shell dough, and then we'll make a filling, and then I will deep fry the shells with a cannoli mold, and then we'll fill it, the cannolis with your homemade filling. So let's get started. You're going to mix your dough by hand. So the first thing you're going to do is we are going to combine 1 cup of all-purpose flour, just in a bowl. Okay. Then to that we are going to add 1½ teaspoons of sugar and a pinch of salt, and I already have both of those combined right in here. And then I'm just going to mix that together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2½ teaspoons of butter, and I am just going to put it into here. Oops! I'm just going to break it into tiny little pieces with my fingers, just like so. Okay. And then I'm going to mix this together just to incorporate the butter, to make sure you don't see huge chunks of it. You can use a fork, you can use a rubber scraper. If you really wanted, if you were making a lot of this, you could use a pastry blender. But it's not that much butter, so I'm just using a wooden spoon, works just fine. Okay, I don't see any big butter chunks. You want it to be very crumbly. Okay, then to that I'm going to add an egg yolk. Now I just separated it. You can use an egg separator, you can use the shell, whatever, but you just want the yolk. A little of the white is fine, but you really just want that yolk. And then you're going to be using a 1/4 cup of cooking white wine. This is not like real wine. It's just it's sold like by the ketchup salad dressing aisle, and this is what we're using. Again, it's not real wine. It's just called that. And then you're going to add this right to it. We just need a 1/4 cup. And then you are going to mix this up to form a dough. Just keep mixing it until it all comes together, so we'll be right back in. Alright, so here's my cannoli dough, and I finish it off by hand, making sure it all has come together. And you're just going to form it into a ball, and then you're going to wrap this in plastic wrap and label. On day 1, you're also going to make your filling, and then you'll combine the two on day 2. So I'll be back to show you that. Alright, now I'm going to show you how to make the filling for the cannolis. So the first thing we're going to do is, this is ricotta cheese, which is just an Italian cheese. You use this when you made the pork chops in Cuisine Chef. This is also the same kind of cheese that goes in like manicotti, lasagna. It's almost like cottage cheese, just a lot richer. And this is whole milk cottage cheese, or ricotta cheese, so sorry. I'm just going to start mixing this. Alright. And you're just going to whisk it. I'm not going to use a whisk because it gets caught in there, so I'm just going to mix this until it's smooth, and we're pretty smooth. And then to this, we are going to add a 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar, or confectioner sugar. And then mix that in. This is going to make it a little bit more stiff. Now the reason why you want to use whole milk ricotta cheese is because it keeps its stiff texture compared to like if you were going to use the skim kind. It just gets more runny and then it falls out of the cannoli, and you want this to be pretty stiff. It should not be runny or soupy at all. Okay, so I'm just going to set this out to the side. Now in my mixer, it calls for 2 tablespoons of heavy cream, and we're going to just put that in, and we're going to beat it until semi-stiff. We'll be right back. Alright, so I started whipping in the kitchen mixer and it just wasn't doing its thing. So I decided to, since it's such a small amount, that I'm going to do it just in a bowl with an immersion blender, stick blender. So you're going to do this by You're just going to do it right in there, tip it to the side, and start blending. And you're going to do it till stiff peak, move it back and forth until it's nice and thick, almost like whipped cream. Now if you overmix this, it's going to turn to butter. So we'll be right back when it's right at stiff. I actually ended up putting it in a cup and literally just putting it down and letting it go until it was very thick. So I'm just getting that out, and I'll show you the consistency it needs to be. Like so. Okay, so like a loose whipped cream. So I'm just going to put this in to my ricotta mixture. Alright, and I'm going to take the wooden spoon out. And I'm going to fold this together just to mix it. Just fold up and over. And to that I'm going to add a half teaspoon of cinnamon and a pinch of allspice just for flavor. And fold this together. And then to that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of mini chocolate chips. We're just using Nestle. Okay. And this is just semi-sweet. You could use milk chocolate. Well, most of you probably have had cannolis before. You just maybe not have made them. So you can pretty much put anything you want into a cannoli. There's that. And then to that, I'm just going to add a little bit of lemon zest, and I'm literally going to do it right over the bowl. And this is just for a to taste, so whatever your preference is. I just want a little bit of lemon. I don't want it too lemony. Just a little acid to adhere to the sweetness. Oops. There we go. And then you're good to go. So you're going to put this into either a piping bag or a large baggie. And then you'll put this into your filling, or to your cannoli shell when they have been cooked. So we'll see you in a little bit. Alright, so this is day 2 of the cannolis. Your dough is done and your filling is done. So what I have done is I have divided the cannoli dough into 12 pieces. It doesn't matter if they're exactly the same, but 12 or so pieces. This recipe makes about 12 to 15 cannolis depending on how thick you roll them. So what I'm going to do is I sprinkle a little bit of flour, and I'm just going to go back and forth and start pressing this out with my fingers just to start getting them thin. You want them pretty thin so they cook quickly. You're going to deep fry these with a cannoli mold, and this is a cannoli mold. Okay, it's just a cylinder. But when you buy them, they usually come in like packs of 4. They're not very expensive. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rolling it out. You want it thin, as I said, because if it's too thick, it gets very doughy. And if you've ever had a cannoli before, you want it pretty crisp. Okay. You want to be able to semi-see through it, so it's very, very thin. Almost like when you were in Cuisine Chef and you were making like pasta, you want it very thin. Okay. Now, in your recipe it says to have a 3 to 4 inch circle, and just because this is exactly about 4 inches, I am using this as my mold, and I'm just taking a paring knife and going around, cutting around. If you have, your teacher might have cookie cutters or whatnot, but this works just fine. Okay, so now we have circle. So what I'm going to do now, you'll keep doing that, and you can take turns with your partner, because you're going to have to multitask here to get a lot done in one period. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take your cylinder, okay, you're going to put it right in the center, and then you're going to fold this over, have some water so it sticks on, okay, and then you're just going to roll this on to the mold, okay. Now to make it adhere, just use water so it sticks. Okay, just like so. And I'm just going to set that right on to another sheet lined with paper towels. And the reason why I'm lining it with paper towels is because I'm going to actually use this to fry. So you're gonna have lots of different things going on. So let's do another one. Okay, roll this up, like so. You're gonna need more water depending on how much flour you have. You could also use egg white to adhere this together, but water works just fine, and it's, you know, it's like free. I'm gonna do one more. Now sometimes when you roll them, like this one was really thin and then it got thick, you can just re-roll it. Stir that together. A little more water. Just like so. Alright, so now I am ready to bring this to my deep frying station. So you can come with me. Alright, now in class you could be using the deep fryer or you could be using a stock pot with oil. It kind of just depends. Maybe depending, your teacher might have a couple with on the deep fryer, some on a stock pot, just to speed up time. So remember, this is very hot, okay? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to set this right in with the mold, and it should start sizzling. And I am going to put, they don't take very long to cook, but you don't want to put too many in there because you're going to have to take this cylinder out, and you don't want it too crowded or it cools your oil. Put one more in there. Be very careful, very hot. And just kind of let it, you want it to turn like a golden brown. You can see it starting to bubble. Smell like a fish fry. They're just about done, because if you recall, when you deep fry, when you take things out, they kind of keep cooking as you let it cool. You don't want them to, this one's pretty much good to go, because it will get darker. Take it out very carefully. Let it cool in there. See, it's already getting a little bit darker. Take this one out. Okay. This one's almost done. Yep. Okay. Now this is you want to get the cylinder out so you can keep rolling them. So let's go back to our station. Now you're only probably going to have two molds per pair, so it's not a lot. So you can see how fast that they go. So what you're going to want to do is very carefully, because remember this is very hot, you want to tap it, and they should slide right off. Be very careful because it's hot. Now if it sticks, I'm going to be honest with you, something's probably wrong with your dough. So they should slide right off once they start cooling. So I'm going to let this cool for a sec, and we'll be right back. Alright, so the cannoli shells have completely cooled. You can put them in the fridge to help speed up the process, but because I rolled them so thin, you can see that they're not doughy and they cool very quickly. Okay? Now, if a little piece falls off when you're getting it off the cylinder, that's totally fine. Alright? So I have my filling from the day before, and if you keep this in the fridge until you're ready to fill it, then it will stay very thick. Now, if you take it out and let it sit at room temperature, it's going to get very runny, and it's hard for you to fill them. Now, you can use a pastry bag to fill them, or you can simply just put it in a baggie, which is what I did. So I'm just going to snip the corners, and then what you're going to do is you're going to hold this up, and you're going to start on one side until it's as much as you want, and then you're going to flip over and fill from the other side. Okay? And you can drizzle chocolate shavings, nuts, or whatever you want for that. I'll do one more. So fill from one side, and then fill from the other, and then fill from one side, and fill from the other. Enjoy! Thank you!